Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I need to say? Wow. This is easier than I thought. Before we begin, a couple of people came to me with an amazing idea that I'm going to avail myself of, which is that I have a whole room full of people holding the same publication in an audience facing my camera. And it would be amazing for you to hold it up, like with your eyes maybe over it, you know, all like, you know, cutesy wootsy kind of like Kilroy-esque.
Kilroy was here.
Yes. All right. Get the view here. Oh, yeah. Hold on, I'm still doing it. I'm sussing out the light here because I got some glare. So hold on. Pano.
It's a very suspicious looking room.
Yeah, right? All right, here goes the pano.
Is that the phone or you?
I don't think I'm doing this right, actually.
Stand
We're going to try one more time.
There you go.
Practice piano.
There you go.
And now it's going along the horizontal line.
Yeah, baby. You're jingling, baby.
All right. Well, we'll see how that goes. Okay, so many of you know that I used to be an actor who could memorize speeches, and these days I'm more of a writer who can read things off of his phone. So, I think at least a quorum of you know that I'm Jeff Lewonczyk. That's beautiful. I am one of 3 editors of Slip Slips, along with my incredible partners, Hope Cartelli, who happens to be my wife, and Kristen Leigh, who I've known for 2/3 of my life now. So speaking for our full editorial trio, I am stunned by the turnout and the excitement here tonight, so thank you for being here. So the main event tonight is going to be a series of readings from some of our stellar contributors. I'm not going to give you the entire history of how we got here tonight. I've written about it on my newsletter, the Jeff Stream. You can read about it on cross posts for our new Slip Slips newsletter called Blips Blips.
Nice.
So go check that out, or if you let me corner you over a drink later, I will tell you more than you ever wanted to know. But what I would like to do is spend a few minutes right now trying to explain why, in God's American year of 2025, anybody would do something as insane as launching a free print publication devoted to art and literature.
What?
Yeah. Well, in answer, I would like to invoke the wretchedly underused word foolhardy. It's a shame that this word has fallen out of fashion because there's no other word quite like it. The foolish part is obvious, of course, but by pairing it with hardy, it evokes a sense of boldness and adventure. Foolhardy implies that we're idiots, but that we're really committed to it. And that is the spirit with which we began this project just about exactly a year ago. There are so many foolhardy things we could have done instead of this, like founding a tech startup, or running for political office, or attempting to exercise regularly. So why did we choose to create Slip Slips of all things? Well, to my mind, there are 3 reasons which kind of join up together in one powerful motivational blob. The first, and perhaps the most obvious, is that we love print. That print is a notoriously dead medium, yet it still surrounds us all over the place every day of our lives. So anyone who's ever been to Hope's in my apartment has seen the fruits of that obsession firsthand. We own a frankly problematic amount of books, magazines, comics, prints, ephemera, etc. So whether a printed publication prioritizes imagery or the written word, it is both visual and tactile in a way that can be grounding, relaxing, and stimulating all at once. It also allows you to connect with people over time and space in unpredictable and often inspiring ways. I actually read a great Neil Postman quote earlier today: "Printing links the present with forever." In this era of AI slop, disposable content, and algorithmic oppression, that sounds like a pretty noble intention. The second reason stems from the many years that Hope and I devoted to theater, the most ephemeral of art forms. Making theater gave us purpose and community for nearly 2 decades, and many of the people here tonight were a part of that. Our very first production in NYC in 1999 took place at the original location of Dixon Place, just a little further uptown, and several of you were there and saw it. 10 years later, we produced a major show in this building, written by Trav S.D, featuring Maggie Cino, both of whom you'll be hearing as readers tonight. But after years of hundreds of performances, and then parenthood, and just the daily grind of making a living in New York, we ended up walking away from theater at a certain point. And I'll admit that it left a hole in my heart that I've never quite been able to fill. I've done a lot of writing and drawing since then, but those are ultimately lonely pastimes. I've really been missing the ability to come together and collaborate with other people on something that's bigger than the sum of its parts. And ultimately, I just don't work well solo. I want to be a facilitator and a contributor. So I tried multiple times and failed to reproduce this sense of connection online. Some people make that approach work, but our digital overlords have ensured that it is increasingly overwhelming and alienating. So it slowly dawned on me that a print publication could be a way to combine that hunger for creative company with my love of the concrete, a way to work with a wide range of people who aren't confined to a specific time or place. I often refer to Slip Slips as a community on paper, and as you read the first issue and as you hear tonight's readers, I hope that you agree with that. So the third reason wasn't necessarily top of mind when we began planning this last spring, but it's become increasingly urgent. Our process straddled the 2024 presidential election and the accompanying vibe shift into an overtly fascist country. It was and continues to be a scary fucking time. So yes, we need to organize. Yes, we need to agitate for change, but for me, that's only part of the picture. As the three of us, and I know many of you creep ever deeper into middle age, we also need to know what exactly it is that we're living for. We need a sense of joy and a connection to the deeper currents of our imaginations to remind us why we're fighting in the first place. We need ways to balance the seriousness of the moment with the fun and frivolity that makes life bearable. So, in its own small way, Slip Slips is intended as an act of resistance. It is uncommercial, it is outspoken, and it is open to all. It does not accept the premises of power that are shaking up the world and endangering lives. It is a stubborn little pebble jutting out from the good intentions that pave the road to hell. The voices and images provided by our 50 contributors combine into a singular and unprecedented gathering, an aggregate of unique perspectives, a chorus that sings out against silence. Our hope is that when taken together, it will inspire our readers, whoever they might be, to find their own small ways to defy the assumptions of the present and imagine a better future. So if all of this doesn't add up to foolhardy, I'd like you to show me what does. So speaking of the future, just a few quick words about what happens next. Hope and Kristen and I have been so happy working on Slip Slips and with all of you that tonight we are officially announcing issue number 2. We made the decision to continue producing it in a broadsheet newspaper format because, frankly, it's cheap and it's inclusive. It allows us to involve as many contributors as possible and give it away for free. So our hope for the next issue is to expand it and include more submissions and more pages, so the community on paper will continue to grow. The theme of this first issue is dispatches, which was intentionally broad, some consider a cop-out, because almost anything can be a dispatch. So you'll see a lot of variety in the work that's included in this issue. But for number 2, we're getting slightly more specific. In a tip of the hat to our theatrical community, the theme will be dialogues. This can be taken literally, of course, as a script or a conversation, but it also opens up the door to other interpretations, collaborative experiments, exchanges between mediums, things like visual essays, documentary comics, critical responses to other works, whatever you can dream up. So long as it comes in at less than 500 words or the graphic equivalent thereof, we are happy to see it. We're planning a more public announcement online through the newsletter and everything shortly, but everybody who came here tonight gets to hear it first. Beyond that, I want to hint that Slip Slips is also going to be the beginning of something larger. Our longer-term plans are to use this publication as a backbone of an independent publishing enterprise where we'll explore other ambitious print projects with many of the wonderful creators like you whose work we are already championing in Slip Slips. As with everything else, we will be doing this at our own creaky middle-aged pace, but we hope that you will come along with us as we explore new ways to bring people together in exciting new artistic spaces through print. In the meantime, though, you have heard more than enough from me. So let me close out by saying that Hope and Kristen and I are deeply grateful to each and every one of you who has taken the time to come by and be part of this foolhardy adventure. So now it is time to welcome our contributors, whose talent and vision are the whole reason any of us are here in the first place. So to keep things moving for the rest of the evening, let me invite up to the stage a contributor who provided both verbal and visual pieces for our first issue, and who will be serving as our MC tonight, and that is Eliza Stamps.
Thank you, Jeff. What a great opportunity, because I actually have a number of pitches for new articles. And so I was going to corner you later, but I will actually do it up here tonight.
That's
so here
great,
are a
thanks.
few. How to respond when your accountant comments about how little money you made this year. You're doing it all wrong. 5 ways you're failing the human race, and 10 reasons why it really doesn't matter. Dow Jones down for 3 straight months, finally goes to therapy. So we are now going to welcome our first contributor, Kevin.
Keep it number, Eliza. Next time I'm going to do a burlesque number with slips. All right, thanks everybody for coming. So I don't know about any of you, and I'm not supposed to ask, but I go to 12-step meetings, and they are simultaneously a great way to motivate me on a journey to self-improvement, but also come in contact with pedantic people who have inner fightings in the groups that you slowly become aware of when you go into a new room. And that's what this next piece is about. I'm going to be playing a character. Hello, my name is Greg. Welcome to the Sharing Hearts 12-Step group. A note to newcomers, whatever you may have heard about this meeting, rest assured we have updated our guidelines to prevent any further drama or controversy. Updated guidelines. Please refrain from crosstalk. Crosstalk is defined as commenting on someone else's share, even if you are correcting someone's reference to the Addams Family when they were actually describing the Munsters. During the meeting, please silence all cell phones. Cell phones should not be used to look up details about black and white horror-adjacent sitcoms or their subsequent reboots and reimaginings. An important part of our recovery is respecting one another, even if someone in this room thinks Grandpa Munster would make a better sponsor than Cousin It, or vice versa. Please limit your shares to 3 minutes. At the end of each share, group members may clap gently. Group members should not snap twice. This group holds its business meeting on the last Wednesday of each month. If someone mentions a last Wednesday issue, it refers to group business and not Jenna Ortega. According to the 10th tradition, this group has no opinions on outside issues. This includes speculation on who Cousin Marilyn would vote for, and whether or not Uncle Fester believes in God. If you are joining us on Zoom, please remember to mute your microphone and do not use any virtual backgrounds that may provoke certain group members. The opinions expressed here are strictly those of the person who gave them. Our group does not have a collective stance on whether the Flintstones' ghoulish neighbors, the Frankenstones, were inspired by the look of the Munsters or the spirit of the Addams Family. At the end of the meeting, please return chairs to their original setup. Finally, we close each meeting with the Serenity Prayer. Please recite this prayer in typical pace, and not to the tune of the Munsters theme song. For everyone's edification, I'm going to demonstrate it. Please do not do this. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. All right, we're going to turn things over to our group secretary, who has some updates regarding the Partridge Family and the Brady Bunch. Thank you.
I have more headlines. Airlines suggest shapewear as best solution for shrinking airplane seats. Supply chain, gluten, and natural disasters, fail-safe topics for any cocktail party. Next, we have Kelly Jean Fitzsimmons.
Thank you so much. Thank you to Hope and Jeff and Kristen. This piece, which is in Slip Slips and illustrated by the beautiful Ashley King, A. King McCarty, started as an SOS email to my friends right after it happened, so I'm very, very happy to have a permanent home. It means a lot to me. And the piece is called Bumble Down. After 54 years of marriage, I assumed only death would separate my parents. After my mother's stroke, we moved her into memory care, where after 4 p.m., she introduced my dad as her father. The red basins of his lower lids watered when my dad shared the ladder over our morning coffee. He'd moved into a tiny studio apartment at the senior living place to be close to her. I cut my visit short that day, bailing out before dinner because I could no longer watch my dad simultaneously grieve his wife and care for my mother. I bawled on the walk to my sister's house, fortunately nearby, and by the time I entered her neighborhood, I was a feral, red-eyed banshee. Unfortunately, her Florida neighbors were having their Christmas party. Lawns filled with people, streets lined with luminaries, and hayrides for the kids. Strangers called, "Merry Christmas!" and "How are you this evening?" I shouted back, "Happy holidays!" "Good, thank you." Wife, "I don't think that girl's at all fine. Go after her." Husband, "Leave it be, Paula." I'd hit the low point of a Hallmark Christmas movie, sans the rustic man in flannel on the horizon. I reached my sister's house right as her husband's massive blow-up lawn decorations inflated on a timer. All except the bumble from Rudolph, who lay flat on his face. Bumble down is how I feel. Then the bumble rose as the horse-pulled hayride passed by. The children inside oohed and awed at his ascent. When the bumble popped up, fully inflated, they cheered and clapped. A holiday moment amongst tears. Thank you.
Narcissist, optimist, or psychopath? What your deodorant says about you. Just burn it down. How my fear of mice led me to arson. New Hampshire votes to change state motto from live free or die to live, laugh, love. And up next we have Dean Haspiel.
I was fifth.
We changed the order. You didn't get the email?
Oh my God. I got the email. That's what I'm saying. Anyway.
You gotta count me and Eliza.
How do you do this with the light like this? Jeez Louise.
It's called professionalism.
Oh my God. I want to thank, can you hear me?
Yes.
I want to thank Hope, Kristen, and Jeff to let me be a part of this awesome Slip Slips thing that whenever I mention the title, people are like, what the hell are you talking about? And then it comes with an explanation, and I still don't understand what the hell is going on the front page. I'm going to dedicate this short story that is not my contribution. This is something else. I'd like to dedicate this to my good friend Seth Kushner, who passed away 10 years ago today. So, anyway, all right. November 16th, 2005. I was about to leave my apartment for the night when my landline telephone rang. It was the police in Des Moines, Iowa. They were calling family members to tell them that Michael David Haspiel had passed away, my brother, dead at age 37. I had spoken to Mike a few days before, having suffered nerve damage from a recent diabetic coma. Mike was in a lot of pain. Near blind, he lived very small on government assistance while cleaning bars during the day to make extra cash. I was working full-time as a freelancer making comic books. He said something like, "You're living the dream." I asked him what his dream was. He wanted to make a stop-motion movie featuring all his classic Mego action figures. Toys we used to play with together as kids. Plus, so many more he collected and custom designed over the years. I don't remember what the story was, but I think he wanted to mash up Marvel, DC, and Star Trek characters with celebrity dolls and others. This is way before the idea of a multiverse became a household phrase. When we were younger, we had Action Jackson dolls that were supposed to compete with G.I. Joe and failed. One summer, while playing in the ocean, Mike and I played with our Action Jacksons and a big wave slammed into us, washing away our beloved toys, lost to the sea. We were devastated. 30 yards away, a Long Island man was fishing and he caught something in his line. A fish? A shark? No. It was our Action Jackson dolls. Both of them. They were wrapped up in each other's arms. It was a miracle. Growing up, Mike and I split a bedroom in our family's Upper West Side apartment. We shared the same love for comic books, action figures, and baseball cards. But we drew the line at music. I was into hip-hop, funk, and soul, while my brother was into rock and roll and heavy metal. He loved Motley Crue's Home Sweet Home, a sentimental power ballad that I liked too. Still, we fought over the record player until my parents split up. Mike went with Mom, and I stayed with Dad. I can't tell you how many times I played Prince's When Doves Cry over and over in that half-empty bedroom alone. I didn't have Home Sweet Home. That was Mike's song. When my mother and brother moved to Brooklyn, I would visit them sometimes, but he started to evolve into a very different person. I think it was the neighborhood, the pals he made, the things he did. I didn't feel like I knew him anymore. After a while, I didn't feel like I knew Mike at all. And when he got addicted to drugs and had to spend time in the hospital to recover, the doctors gave Mike a chance to rehabilitate elsewhere. He chose Des Moines, Iowa. Mike was nervous, scared to make such a dramatic move, but he made a leap of faith, and I was proud of him. I knew it meant that I wouldn't see or hear from him as much, if ever, but a shift in space would allow him a fresh start. Thankfully, Des Moines agreed with Mike, and he made great friends and girlfriends who would do anything for him. I abandoned baseball cards, but I kept collecting comic books, music, and movies. My apartment became a hoarder's wet dream. I never figured out how to create a home that would welcome a family, so I kept busy creating stories, reading and watching other people's stories, wondering if I made a mistake becoming an artist, wondering if I was too much of a coward to create a family of my own. Sometimes when I think about the concept of home, I can hear Motley Crue's Home Sweet Home in my head. I think about those Action Jackson dolls and how they held on to each other. And I think about my brother Mike. Thank you.
Stay hydrated, stay vigilant. How to navigate a new grocery store. The best snow tires for basic bitches. Living a lie. I've been wearing the wrong shoe size for 20 years. Up next we have Kristen Leigh.
Hi. So happy to meet most of you after all of those emails. Okay. I have a few pieces in here. The one I'm going to share with you this evening is called Hometown Girls, and it's for Patrice, who's not here, but she might be on the live stream. So, Patrice, if you're watching, this one's for you. Hometown Girls. P puts the gun in the back seat. See you in 6 minutes, she says, closing the door. I math the moment. The volume of weed in the backpack, the odds of getting pulled over, this is not my car, sorry Jay. I don't have papers for any of this. My daughter is dead, and P, her best friend, came home from college to help me move my niece, another single mom, across town. She's trying to outrun an eviction. Life is literature. Literature is life. A week before, my niece picked me up from the train station. I was looking out the window at the steeple of the Catholic Church, piercing twilight clouds, and then a hard break, astonishment. Titi, what the fuck is that? A bobcat, compact, gold-covered muscle slinking across the mottled pelt of spring lawn. Too much day left to lasso her with our headlights. I'm scared, the baby's voice from her car seat. No, I said, don't be. And then, circle back. I want to see it again. Thank you.
Just a quick note, if the people over by the bar want to come in more, you're more than welcome to.
And if you have young, supple bones, you can sploot out on the floor even, you know.
Only if they're supple, though. Band of rabid raccoons plays sweet tunes. Liar, whiner, or lunatic, the truth about online dating. 15 surprising uses for fondue forks. Up next, we have Bob Laine.
Oh shit. Oh, that light is weird. Thank you. Thank you, Slips, for including me. I will be reading my contribution, which is a piece called Gone. Tomorrow morning, I hope to wake up and find my mother's cancer gone. Gone too, the offending breast it has taken root in. Off to join the 2 toes she had amputated the month before, and the valves in her heart that had failed her twice in the last 4 years. Disassembling, piece by piece. When I talk with her, she doesn't speak of self-pity, only concerns of who she will leave behind, worries about how her death will affect everybody else, and who will take care of her dog, the dog that no one but my mother likes, the dog who likes no one but my mother, and her collections, porcelain dolls, elephants, dolphins, and the stuffed animals she keeps to give to children when she goes out shopping, which is not creepy at all. Each conversation with her preparing me for the eventuality. Tonight before the surgery, I want to call her, but I'm afraid that she will think I'm only calling because I'm worried that this may be the last time we will speak, and I don't want her to think that. I don't want to think that. Which is why I think I shouldn't call, because in some insane way that would mean she would have to make it through the surgery so that she would have to call me the next day and tell me about the hot doctors and the bad food and the good drugs. But then I think if I don't call, that might worry her just as much and make her anxious during surgery, which I'm sure can't be good. So finally I decide that I have to call, because I would never be able to live with myself if this was indeed the last time that I ever talked to her. The phone rings 5 times, and my brother answers and says my mother is at bingo. I predict I will sleep badly, pushing back dreams that look too much like in memoriams, best ofs of my mother and I. That time in England when that woman grabbed me by the arm and she told her that if she ever touched one of her children again, she'd have a bobby on her porch the next morning. That time in Michigan when my dad was chasing me around the kitchen table with a knife, and she said, "Pack, we're going to be leaving in the morning," which I knew was a lie, but still felt good to hear anyway. That time in Florida when she leaned in and told me conspiratorially, "I'm glad you escaped." Trying desperately not to think of these very things through the evening. Trying desperately not to act like she's already gone. My vibrating teeth wake me in the morning, and I find my phone stuck to my cheek. There's one message. It's from my sister. Mom out of surgery, resting. Says you'd like her male nurse. He looks like David Hasselhoff. And I think, my mother doesn't know me at all. David Hasselhoff?
I literally almost died when funny anecdotes take a left turn to horror. Cautious clay, ceramic tips for scaredy cats. Great expectations I had and all the ways I failed. Up next we have James Comtois.
Thanks for having me be part of this, everyone. Thanks, Hope and Jeff and Kristen. Really appreciate it. All right, so will I be able to read this? No. Maybe. Okay. An announcement. I need to make it very clear. The title case is not a mistake. This is my third attempt at this announcement, and I hope I make the print deadline. But normal sentence case simply does not suit my needs. It does not stress the importance or urgency of my announcement, nor does lowercase for obvious reasons. All caps makes it seem like you're shouting all the time, and I want to make it clear, I am not shouting. I am trying to be clear, because I want to be perfectly understood. I am not angry at my mother because she has done anything abusive or illegal. Nor has she at any point in my life deprived me of having a happy childhood. Some may point to the time when she would not let me have a horse, but I assure you that is not relevant here. Anyone who tells you otherwise is being disingenuous at best and purposefully misleading at worst. Let me be perfectly clear. I do not wish any harm to come to her. But I want it to be known that, as God and as all of you as my witness, if she smacks her lips on those saltines tonight, like I have specifically and repeatedly asked her not to, we will have a very abrupt and direct conversation about this. I will not wait for a commercial. I may even raise my voice. If something were to happen to her, many people may jump to conclusions. This is why I'm writing this announcement in advance of us watching her show. It is always her show. That may not seem important to you, but I assure you it is. You all need to understand, she is a very old and fragile woman. I do not expect her to live forever. So this is why I decided that title case was the best option for my announcement. Please have someone from your publication inform me if I have made the deadline and when my announcement will appear. I will thank you for not misunderstanding me.
Five easy meals that require 55 expensive ingredients. Fright night. I signed up for a Pilates class at 6 a.m. The plastic Easter basket. How to be a willing participant in the downfall of society. Up next we have Chloe Rodriguez.
Can't see anybody. Cool. Can you guys hear me? Yes. Okay, cool. Thank you for Slips for publishing my work. This is the first time that I've ever been published, and I'm the first time speaking out here in New York, so it's like a little nerve-wracking, but all right. My piece is, thank you. My piece is called Thoughts on a Transition. Alone at home and over 8 months pregnant, I move around the cramped space of the basement apartment while on the phone with my cousin. She is across the country, back home with the rest of my family. She asks how the pregnancy is going, offering advice on parenthood. I use her words like a balm to calm my nerves for what's to come. She asks about my fiance, and I launch into what has become a 2-month ordeal. ER visits, a concussion that has left him breathless. My cousin tells me that it seems like every soon-to-be father goes through an episode of panic as they witness their partner's belly expand. It's like reality slowly starts to weigh them down. She then launched into a story about how in her first pregnancy, her spouse started feeling frenzied as they approached their due date. He started overthinking everything. She said, it seems natural for a soon-to-be father to also panic and wonder how they'll handle it all. It was something I had been thinking about for a while. My fiance's panic attacks, while they could have originated from his concussion, could also have been exacerbated by the looming uncertainty of what parenthood is going to look like. I gained more empathy after my conversation with my cousin. I started feeling a little drained from the amount of times he needed to go to the ER, but once she put things in perspective for me, I grew softer with understanding. That night when he came home from the ER and his results came back normal, we had another conversation about the root causes for his panic attacks, and he finally opened up to the possibility that he could be feeling anxious. I've extended more grace to how my fiancé is feeling, offering solutions and solves of comfort through careful planning to ease both of our minds. Whether it's scientifically proven or not, welcoming a brand new human into this world is overwhelming for everyone involved in the pregnant person's life. And all we can really do is extend grace to one another, knowing that everything will fall into place and be all right in the end.
Dumpster diving and other top-notch first date ideas. What color is Tuesday? And other questions to ponder while on the elliptical. Rumor has it, and she won't give it back. Up next, we have Eric Winick.
I don't think I can do that. Should I do this? I don't know. So I'm the short person here. So. Oh, here we go. Okay. Thank you guys very much for having me. I really appreciate it. This is not the piece that's in Slip Slips, but it's in a similar vein. I'm pretty sure I can do this in 3 minutes or under. So start the clock now. This has no title. So I haven't been feeling like myself lately. It probably has something to do with the amount of news I've been consuming. I knew when January 20th rolled around I'd likely be glued to MSNBC, CNN, YouTube, and podcasts. And given the rate at which this administration has hurled illegal act after illegal act at us, it's no wonder I haven't been able to tear myself away. But there's another phenomenon at play, a sense that no matter how informed I am, no matter how many protests I attend, no matter how many letters I write to elected officials, there's not a damn thing I can do about it. In psychological terms, it's called learned helplessness, described as what happens when an individual continuously faces a negative, uncontrollable situation and stops trying to change their circumstances, even when they have the ability to do so. For example, a smoker may repeatedly try and fail to quit. He may grow frustrated and come to believe that nothing he does will help, and therefore he stops trying altogether. The other day I was having lunch with my wife and in-laws when a breaking news alert from the New York Times came up on my phone. I've had these alerts since the anthrax scare of 2001. The minute something terrible happens, I have to be among the first to know about it. Judge Hannah Dugan of Milwaukee had just been indicted by a grand jury for allegedly spiriting an undocumented man out her courtroom's back door. Never mind the fact that the agents had the wrong kind of warrant or that they ran him down later, the damage was done. Anyway, lunch was happening when the alert came up. Damn, I said, they just indicted the judge. I was told to put my phone down and continue eating. We would not be letting the erosion of democratic norms get in the way of our Caesar salads. I'm distracted a lot these days, even while watching basketball, seeing crowds cheering, waving, screaming, defense! Thoroughly immersed in the spectacle before them, I can't help but wonder, does everyone realize what's going on? As the team goes into a timeout or a quarter ends, I invariably reach for my phone and dial up Blue Sky just to see what crazy shit's going on. It's not healthy, I know. But can you blame me? You can't go 10 minutes these days without this administration doing something insane. Which brings me back to learned helplessness. Given the administration's flood the zone strategy, we're in over our heads in terms of processing the scope of illegality. How can you address it all? The answer, if you're a private citizen, you can't. You can't do it and live your life at the same time. Putting up with a number of atrocities requires drastic measures, shutting down our brains, limiting our media intake, looking away from tariffs, deportations, closing of crucial government agencies, shakedowns of universities and law firms, pardons, and breathe. Just breathe. My advice, take action. And when you can't take action, don't take action. Read a book, watch a movie, engage in an activity that allows you to stop thinking for a while. If you like watching sports, watch sports. Just don't sit there wondering whether everyone else is as obsessive as you are. If you want to stay informed, but do it during daylight hours. Don't make YouTube videos about breaches of Social Security the last thing you watch before bed. You never know. The resistance may thank you. And best of all, your blood pressure will thank you, because that hypertension in your family that your parents warned you about, it's not getting better by watching Ari, Lawrence, Chris, Jen, or Rachel. Just whatever happens, keep an eye on the cholesterol. Thank you.
Determined dog dodges domestic drama with perfectly timed head tilts. What should I worry about today? 65 problems you didn't know you have. I'm listening to your meeting, and I'm so glad I don't work at your company. Up next, we have Maggie Cino.
Oh, yay. Hi, you guys. Okay, I wrote this literally decades ago, and I said something to Jeff. Jeff was like, we're doing this thing. And I was like, I have something I wrote decades ago. And he was like, submit it. And I was like, sure. And then I was like, ah. And then I was like, I can just pretend it's in a drawer. And then today I got an email saying, you're going 11th. Enjoy. Yeah. Sure, because you should hear it clearly, the thing I'm embarrassed about. Okay. That night she searched for David, but he wasn't in their usual room. It was empty the following night as well. She finally saw him in the registrar's office after dropping 3 classes. Under the circumstances, there was no way she could continue with her full course load. David? He started slightly when he saw her. I have to talk to you. Can we go somewhere private? He paused, but nodded, and they went upstairs to an empty classroom. He leaned against a window while Claire stood awkwardly a few feet away. I need to know what techniques we were using. Techniques? For sleeping. Surprising herself, Claire started to cry. David softened, moving over and patting her back. It's okay, he said. It is very much not okay, she said, rubbing her nose on her sleeve. Everything was great, and then my life fell apart. What were you doing that helped me sleep? Claire, David stuttered. Well, look, those weren't sleep techniques. What? Her wet eyes were especially blue. Now he was blushing. You really didn't know? Claire stared at him while forgotten tears dripped down her cheeks. Tell me. Shit, David said, and the room went still. Claire, that was an enhancement experiment. I've been enhanced? Not exactly. I was enhanced, but you've unenhanced me? It's not that either, David said unhappily. It was a trial session on sleep to see if it could be eliminated. Now, sleep does 2 things. It gives the body a chance to rebuild, and it gives the mind a chance to process. The current research found ways to keep a subject's body rejuvenated without having to sleep at all, but it only works if the thoughts are processed by someone else. Someone else, Claire repeated, not quite a question. You were processing another person's thoughts, David said. We needed someone who has an organic absence. That grayness and lethargy you feel naturally, we were looking for a compatible subject with exactly that quality. And since you were raised in the church and had never had a medical procedure done, it made you an ideal test subject. But how did it make me smart and popular? And, she paused just a beat, lovable. I don't know why that was the result. It might have been the specific person whose thoughts you were processing. It could have been an unknown side effect of the procedure itself. But we didn't finish the experiment, so I don't really know. You lied to me. Claire pulled away from him. That experiment is against everything the church teaches. If they knew, I would be excommunicated. I am so sorry, David said, and looked at her in a way that reminded her of Max. Despite herself, she started to cry again. I don't care, she said. I want to do it again. Okay, said David. That can happen.
Lift weights. Wait, don't lift weights. Actually, do whatever, nothing matters. Don't eat that. 6 everyday foods that can kill you after 3 bites. Superfood? More like sucker food, the truth about almonds. Up next, we have Travis S.D.
Thank you. The pith helmet is so you don't mix me up with James Comtois. We wore the same dress tonight. If you watch a movie by Buster Keaton called The High Sign, you will see the world's only newspaper bigger than Slip Slips. It just keeps unfolding it and unfolding it and unfolding it. It's well worth watching. I like old stuff, and so I want to thank our triumvirate. 1/3 triumvirate, 2/3 trifeminate, I think is the Latin for what they are. But, you know, a newspaper in real space that's builds a community and is not a thing that comes to you by algorithm. And I'm sorry, guys, probably can't be monetized. Probably not going to happen, but I want to thank you, and they should be commended and congratulated for doing that. We're at just over a century since the advent of surrealism, believe it or not. The Surrealist Manifesto, I think Andre Breton wrote in 1924, so we're just over that crucial. Believe it or not, something as modern as that is a century old. So I'm going to play with that a little bit. My piece, you can read it in the paper. So I thought I would take a surreal approach to this. And actually, just like Maggie, my piece is an older one. It's about 20 years old, and it's something actually Maggie, it was designed for the theater. Maggie was going to direct it at a certain point. We worked on it. But I freshened it up for Slip Slips. So what I thought I would do is something that can't happen in a magazine, but can only happen in a theater. And that's, I'm going to read the white spaces around the words. Okay? I'm going to start out slow with this. Ho, ho, ho! Ho, ho, ho! Hold on a second, I lost my place. Dixie Carter, trying to get to heaven. Opinions of a Tennessee talker. I'm not sure how that fits in. Okay. Brace yourself. Oh, that's so loud. It was exclamation points. Okay, I'm told that that's my time.
We have a worm problem, and other phrases you never want to hear. Carrots shown to reduce stress, increase insufferability. Bears and fairs, new proposal to tax wildlife gains traction. Matthew Trumbull is next.
Hello. This is a short piece called Itasca. It's written in the third person, but it's about me. The boy glides through the north woods surrounding Lake Itasca, his cross-country skis slicing the snow like wintry torpedoes. He glances back and rolls his eyes. In the far distance, his parents trudge along like they are skiing through cement. He stops. When they finally reach him, the family of three moves quietly off the grooves of the trail to allow for passerbys, though they have not seen another skier all day. A heavy mound of snow slides off the bough of a tamarack tree and drops to the base of the trunk. The boy and his parents turn their heads. Nothing else moves. The boy is an odd teenager, quiet and reflective. He has always felt like his best, most reliable friend is his own inner voice, which has long kept him company in the solitary world of an only child. He misses this friend on family vacations, when there are so few opportunities to escape his parents and their constant pleas to participate in conversation. The boy asks to ski ahead and wait for them some distance down the trail. His parents barely get a chance to nod and wheeze out, "Be careful," before he gleefully rockets away, leaving wisps of snow hanging and sparkling in the air. For the next 2 miles, the woods and the stillness belong to him. Now there is a faint trickling sound where he has stopped to wait. At the end of his skis, a shy creek sneaks away from the frozen expanse of Lake Itasca, flowing around snow and pebbles and a wooden sign that reads, "Here, 1,475 feet above the ocean, the mighty Mississippi begins to flow on its winding way 2,552 miles to the Gulf of Mexico." The boy closes his eyes. He tries to picture this exact pinpoint location on the blue and brown surface of the earth as if he were viewing it from space. There are so many minute places on the planet, he thinks, that hold his future. Some corner of the physical plane bears, perhaps, the weight of a woman who is fated to be his wife, the weight of a house which is fated to shelter his children, the weight of the soil which will cover the graves of his parents. But it would be impossible to pinpoint these exact locations from space or on a globe, even if he knew what city they were in. They would all be hidden, not just by the inscrutability of the future, but by their smallness, as one zooms out and takes in grander and grander views of all that exists. The present moment holds him as the shallow water trickles, the dead leaves rustle, the wind sings a hollow note to no one but him. He takes comfort that for a few solitary units of time, he does not feel lost and small in the universe. If anyone is looking for him, he can be found at the very top of the thin blue line on planet Earth known as the mighty Mississippi, a place the sign calls here. Thank you.
Microscopic robots will heal us, then destroy us. A box truck full of wormholes, life inside the USPS. You won't believe what your neighbors think you're doing. Spoiler, they never think about you. Up next, we have Whitney Matheson.
I'm losing my voice, but I'm going to keep it together for 2 minutes. And I'm going to read something that's lighter than what's in Slips, hopefully. Okay. It's called Wish. When the genie rang my doorbell, I thought maybe he was the accountant who just moved in, or a member of the church, or the father of one of my kids' friends. So, of course, I let him in and gave him a slice of cherry pie. I am a genie, he explained between forkfuls, and I'm pleased to inform you that you have earned enough points for 1 wish. I didn't know wishes were on a point system, I said. I wondered what had put me over the edge. Was it when I paid for a stranger's coffee? When I made that big Goodwill donation? If shuttling children to and from extracurriculars counts, my points should be sky high. That's the best news I've heard all week, I said. What are the conditions? You can wish for anything you want. You just have to do it right now. No rain checks. Then if you keep living like you have been, I'll probably see you again in another 40 years or so. Now I realize many have already considered this question. If you had 1 wish, how would you spend it? Would you ask for money, power, immortality, an end to war or world hunger? Then it came to me. I wish every man got a period, I said. The genie put down his pie. Could you clarify? Yes, that's it. I wish for every single man on earth to menstruate once a month. And I'm not talking light, barely there, teenager stuff. I want full-on middle-aged murder periods. And everything that comes with it. Cramps, clumps, mood swings, acne. Maybe it happens 1 month during an important meeting and again 3 weeks later on a rafting trip. This is my wish. The genie wiped his chin. I must say, no one's ever wished for that before. May I ask why? Because, you know, I could make you very, very rich. Don't question me, just make it happen, I said. I have an enormous amount of shit to do today. The genie shut his eyes and lifted his hands. When he opened them, something indeed felt different. Your wish is granted. May you continue to do good. The genie's eyes darted around the room. Oh no, no. I picked up his plate and fork and walked toward the kitchen. Down the hall on your left, I said, and pads and tampons are under the sink.
The sexy vegetarian man unmasked. An urban myth unmasked. What we lost in the fire, just logs. Set it and forget it. I crashed my Tesla while napping. Up next we have Colin Dodds.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be here. Thank you, Jeff. Jeff and I met at a now bankrupt arts camp in the 1990s. I showed up a little bit late and scurrying in a mix of, hurry and shame. I didn't grab a copy of the newest issue, of the first issue. So I'm going to do something a little different. I have something called Forget This Good Thing. And it's 2,400 original aphorisms written by me, entirely my fault. So it's on me. And they're selected by a random number generator. So it kind of harnesses the force of synchronicity, this enigmatic force of the universe. And let's find out whether or not it wants me to be very good tonight. So I will do 5, chosen entirely by chance. And here we go. Halos of alluvial sand shoal the landing gears of reefers parked a year in front of the storefront funeral home. That's a COVID one, so it's one. These are all kind of long. Here we go. Mesopotamia translated through Scotland and an immigrant stew, House of Horrors, is a funny way to approach Jerusalem. A funny time to bring this up. A funny guy, but ain't we all? So that's 2, this is 3. In order not to accuse him of lying, she declared the world unknowable to anyone ever. Whoa, yeah. All right, so this is 4. The birds and the bees are frisky between bankruptcies. When the angel reveals her fullness, you'd be wise to lower your chin and make a fist. And here's the last one. See how it goes? It might all hinge on this. The man who will give you an enemy implacable enough to protect you from yourself is the best friend you ever had. Thank you all very much.
Dog park doo-doos and don't-don'ts. Oats have teats and other myths. With gas prices rising, more drivers are feeling it at the pump, resulting in an alarming uptick in public indecency charges. Our final speaker tonight will be Emily Menez.
Thank you. Let's keep it going for our wonderful host. I also want to thank our 3 editors for their generosity. I'm so excited to read that newspaper. Let's give it up for them. I also brought props tonight because props comedy is the best. I hear you. This is called I'm the Maraca Player That's Ruining Your Podcast. Hi, it's me. Were you enjoying this podcast? Well, too damn bad. These very loud maracas in the background are here for a grating reminder that nothing in life is truly free of pain. Yes, I've taken my passion for legitimately beautiful Caribbean and Latin music and used it for dark purposes. You want to hear this fascinating story get resolved? Not without me shaking these rhythmic pebbles in your ears. I'm here to help the tension build. No, that's not the story tension. That's the tension of you simultaneously wanting to know what happens in this audio yarn, but desperately wanting to turn off these painful musical lollipops. I built NPR, baby. I'm the guy they call to fill the story when it goes flat. And boy, do I know how to chew on that audio scenery with my sharp lil rumba teeth. And I don't just do podcasts. No. I'm hiding out at the farmer's market every Saturday. I exclusively perform generic sounding cruise music. No one has ever asked for. But that's never stopped me. You thought I was following sheet music? No, my friend. These are improvisations you wish I'd kept inside. It's reverse jazz. And guess what? The fun doesn't end there. I can be hired for private events where you need a distraction. Trying to express yourself via a half-baked anniversary poem? Maracas. Ready to divorce your longtime partner, but too cowardly to handle the conversation without a rhythmic buffer? Maracas. Not ready to speak at your own father's funeral? Let these wooden caramel apples do the talking. Some people say, I do it for attention, but I'll tell you the truth, I do it for power. My whole life, people have told me that I was a wallflower, a zero, a nothing. Well, not anymore. Now that I've got these obnoxious turtle shell microphones, I can be the most amplified guy on the floor. And don't you dare try to blend me with drums or acoustic guitar. I will musically salmon my way up the rhythm and straight into your psyche. Good luck enjoying your podcast. Thank you.
Emily. Thank you, Eliza. Thank you to all of our readers. I do want to say that as you take the time to look through the issue, Slip Slips is also intended to be very much a visual experience. And so I know a couple of our visual contributors are here tonight too. We have A. King McCarty and Carolyn Raship. I want you to give them a hand too. Providing really, stuff that's essential to the fabric of the publication. And so we'd love to hear what you think. We'd love to talk to you more. We have the bar up here. We go drink more, tip well. We get to hang out here for as long as we want, within reason. So, thank you all for being here. There's cookies, homemade cookies. They're really fucking good. There's a basket full of cheesed corn snacks. Don't eat too many of those because I will bring them home with me. But seriously though, thank you. This has been such an exciting night. We're so happy for you to see Slip Slips. Contribute to the next issue. Keep it alive. We're gonna just blah, 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 blah. Thank you! We'll get the lights figured out or something and music and stuff.